Hello, hello! Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Claire Hawkins. I'm a singer-songwriter and travel vlogger from New York City, but now I live in Ireland.
I'm working on my foreign voice.
There is one question that I have been asked more than any other question for the past year and a half. More than what's your name? More than how are ya? Or how's things? However they say it here. And that question is, what brings you to Ireland? And I never know how to answer this question because I don't have a short answer. I feel like people, when they ask this, they're expecting, oh, I got a job over here, or oh, I'm studying over here, or, you know, there's a specific thing about Dublin that brought me here. I kind of have a specific thing, but I also kind of have many specific things and then a few non-specific things. Over the past 20 months or so of being asked this question, I've given some different answers because I get kind of bored of answering the same long thing every time. Some of the things I've told people in the past are, I just felt like it, a sense of adventure, my family lives here, I like Irish music, things like that. And while all of those are actually true answers, I did just feel like it, and I did move over here, there is a longer explanation as well. So I'm gonna give that to you today, and then maybe in the future when people ask me this question, I'll just send them this video. Now, if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, to childhood, we could talk about the fact that I grew up with two polyglot parents who spoke English, French, and Russian and had lived abroad many times and made travel sound really cool and fascinating to a young Claire. Still, I don't think that really is the reason I moved to Ireland, but we'll get there. I will say that growing up with parents like that, it definitely inspired a love of languages and a love of travel from a pretty young age. So when I got to university and I was studying music and French, I was really lucky. I had the opportunity to study abroad. And I always knew I wanted to study abroad in France because I had been taking French for so long, and my parents had both lived in France. My grandmother lives in France. There was a lot of connections there. So I did study abroad in France, and it was great. Had a great time. Lived in Paris for 4 months, kind of did like the cliche American in Paris thing. But I also, the semester before that, was kind of randomly sent to Berlin, Germany. While I was studying abroad, I decided that instead of going home between my Berlin semester and my Paris semester, I was going to stay in Europe and basically spend the money that I would have spent on a very expensive Christmas time flight from Europe to the States on going to Ireland and visiting my cousins and spending Christmas with them. Technically, my first ever visit to Ireland was when I was 6 months old, but I don't really remember it. So I kind of think of this Christmas visit in 2017 as my first time in Ireland. I had wanted to go to Ireland, you know, as a conscious human for a really long time. Irish music had always been so influential to me. Everyone from, you know, Glenn Hansard and Damien Rice to Hozier was a really big part of my early years with songwriting. So getting to actually come to Ireland and actually getting to see Glenn Hansard and Hozier and a couple other really amazing Irish artists while I was here was just, it was really cool. But I sort of thought of that as the end of my time in Ireland. I then went on to France, and then I came back to New York and I finished college, and I was working on an EP called Foreign Voice at the time. Part of the reason why I knew that I wanted to be in Europe was because I had invented this idea of a hostel tour. Now, if you're not new to the channel or me or my music, then I'm sure you're aware that in 2019 and the very beginning of 2020, I was traveling around Europe performing in hostels on something I called the Foreign Voices Travelers Tour. I released an EP called Foreign Voice that was all about travel, and it was really all about my travels when I was studying abroad. And I knew I wanted to tour, but I knew that I actually wanted to spend time in each of the cities I went to. I didn't want to just like play a show and then go on to the next. You know, travel was important to me, and I really wanted to meet locals and play music and get to know the music scenes as I was on tour. And so I started to put plans together to move to Germany. I had really thought of Berlin as the sort of formative city in my love of travel and the way that it had sort of changed my mindset for what I wanted in the next couple years of my life. I knew that I wanted to be located in Europe so that I could tour hostels in Europe with a, you know, home base over there. I didn't want to be in a new city every night. I wanted to be able to do like a few days in this place, come back to my home base, and a few days in another place. The thing is, I really thought my home base was going to be Germany. I thought I wanted to be in continental Europe so that I could take buses and trains. But obviously, I didn't end up in Germany. Turns out that getting a visa for Germany when you don't have a job there don't really actually think it's possible. I now have an EU passport, thank you Irish grandma, but I didn't at the time. So I needed to make sure that I could get some kind of visa that was going to allow me to stay more than my 90-day tourist allowance as an American in the EU. And then I found out about working holiday visas in Ireland. The working holiday visa, or I think working holiday authorization is the official name, allows you as an American and some people from other countries, I don't know the exact rules, you'll have to look it up, to live in Ireland for a year, and you can either holiday or work. So you don't have to have a job lined up. I ended up working a job here in Dublin, but I didn't have it lined up in advance, which is, you know, difficult to make happen. Basically, as soon as I found out that there was a working holiday authorization option, I could live with family in Dublin and I could get very, very cheap Ryanair flights to pretty much anywhere I needed to go. And I had a travel guitar because the lovely folks at Journey Instruments were sponsoring this tour. I knew that I could fly. I didn't think that flying with my guitar was going to be an option. So that was a big difference. Really, all the pieces just started lining up after that. So it was probably 3 months before I got on the plane to Ireland that I made the decision to move here. Maybe even less. It was a very quick turnaround. I think in like April of 2019, I was still telling people, oh yeah, no, I'm moving to Germany. Haven't figured out how, but I'm doing that. And then flash forward just a couple months and I was here. When I decided I was going to move to Ireland, it was kind of a no-brainer that I was going to be in Dublin, even though there are other beautiful, beautiful parts of the country that I would love to spend more time in than I actually have. But for me, it had to be Dublin because, well, one, I had family here and I could rent a room from them. Two, I needed to be near a big airport because I was going to be in and out of the country pretty much every other week. So that was important. And even in terms of travel within Ireland, I played maybe half the shows on my tour were actually within Ireland, so I needed to make sure that there was a bus or a train that was going to go anywhere in the country that I needed to go. That's it. That's why I moved to Dublin, Ireland. Every other great reason to move here has just sort of been a bonus, you know? The people are lovely, it's a beautiful country, the music's fantastic, the Guinness is great, the weather, it's really the only problem. I think if the weather was good, it'd be a perfect country. I hope that offers a little clarification on why I'm here, because I think even some of my friends and family back home are still like, why Ireland? What is she doing? Obviously at the moment I'm not touring, but I still feel very grateful to be in Ireland. People are so lovely and it's really just a good, happy place to be, pandemic aside. Will I stay in Ireland forever? Probably not. There's a lot of the world that I still need to see, but I'm loving being here right now and I'm really happy that I couldn't move to Germany, because now I'm here. And don't get me wrong, I still would love to live in Berlin again, so maybe that will happen at some point. But in the meantime, I'm very happy to be here in Dublin, and I'm excited to see where I end up next. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, and thank you to everyone who has commented and subscribed recently. It really just makes my day. I read all comments, so thank you. If there are any specific videos about Ireland, about Dublin, about travel or music or really anything else that you want to see on this channel, let me know, because I want to make videos that you guys want to watch. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!